The chamber of the galactic conclave was built to witness endings. Its vaulted geometry curved inward like a patient predator, walls layered with hologlyphs of extinct civilizations, species that had once spoken boldly here, then vanished into archival footnotes. Light bent softly through prismatic air, casting shifting colors over delegates seated by biological necessity rather than equality. Scales, chitin, fur, plasma containment fields, every form present had survived the climb to space. Few had survived war. At the center hovered the projection. A small blue planet. Rotating. Insignificant. Humanity will collapse within 6 hours, declared High Strategos Viral, his voice modulated through 3 tonal registers to accommodate lesser species. His mandibles clicked once, a gesture of certainty. Their infrastructure is exposed. Their military doctrine is primitive. Their psychological profile is unstable under orbital pressure. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. 6 hours is generous, added Counselor Threx of the Calith brood. They still use centralized command structures. Sever the head, the body panics. Across the chamber, one seat remained unoccupied. The human seat. Not out of disrespect. Out of dismissal. The conclave had debated whether to invite them at all. Viral gestured, and the projection shifted. Red vectors lanced down from alien warships hanging above Earth's atmosphere. Simulations bloomed, cities darkening, satellites blinking out, supply chains snapping like brittle bone. This is not extermination, Viral continued calmly. This is enforcement. The species has expanded too quickly. They reverse engineer without understanding. They weaponize curiosity. They improvise. That last word carried disdain. We strike hard, fast, and visibly, said Admiral Kaarathek, his armored bulk scraping against his dais. They will beg for terms before their second rotation. A soft chime interrupted him. Unscheduled transmission. The chamber stilled. Viral frowned. Source? Unknown, replied the conclave AI. Signal originates from Earth. It is narrowband. Analog. Laughter fluttered from several delegates. Analog? Threx scoffed. They are broadcasting with relic methods during an invasion. The projection shifted again. A human appeared. Not in uniform. No flags. No dramatic backdrop. Just a woman seated at a plain metal desk, sleeves rolled up, dark hair pulled back without ceremony. The lighting was harsh, utilitarian. She looked tired. Focused. She looked like someone who had already decided something. Galactic Conclave, she said, voice steady, unamplified. My name is Dr. Mara Ellison. Age 42. Occupation, Systems Architect, Defense Redundancy Division. Several translators lagged, struggling to contextualize redundancy as a concept worth formal designation. Mara leaned forward slightly. I understand you've projected our defeat in 6 hours. Viral's mandibles flexed. Your presence is unexpected. This channel was not granted. Of course it wasn't, Mara replied. You don't ask permission from a species you've already written the obituary for. Silence. She tapped something off screen. The projection of Earth zoomed in, not to cities or fleets, but to networks. Webs within webs. Invisible pathways lighting up like Nero fire. You've modeled our strength based on visible assets, she said. Ships. Satellites. Command hierarchies. That's your first mistake. Kaarathek rumbled. Bold words from a doomed world. Mara smiled faintly. Not with humor. With recognition. We've been expecting you, she said. The chamber stirred. Viral narrowed his compound eyes. You detected a stealth armada across subspace? No, Mara answered. We detected patterns. Energy distortions. Probability drift. The same signatures left behind by every species that thought surprise was a universal advantage. She paused, letting the translators catch up. You see, she continued, humans don't excel at prediction. We're terrible at certainty. What we excel at is contingency. She raised one finger. Plan A, deterrence. Failed. A second finger. Plan B, diplomacy. Also failed. A third. Plan C, mutual destruction. You assumed that was our final option. Her hand closed into a fist. It wasn't. The projection shifted again. Conclave sensors flared warnings across the chamber. What is this? Threx demanded. Your ships, Mara said calmly. Or rather, your ship's ships? The image resolved into schematics, alien designs, classified, internal. Power distribution grids. Command loops. Failsafes. How? Viral began. You sold components on secondary markets, Mara interrupted. Different species. Different wars. Same shortcuts. We didn't need your technology. We needed your habits. The chamber erupted into overlapping voices. Mara raised her voice, not louder, just sharper. You centralized your fleets to project dominance. You linked them through a shared tactical lattice for faster decision-making. She leaned back. We call that a single point of failure. Viral slammed a clawed limb against his dais. This is psychological warfare. Your fleets are already neutralized. Mara nodded. Correct. That was 6 minutes ago. Every display in the chamber flickered. Then went dark. Emergency luminescence kicked in, bathing the conclave in stark white. The AI spoke, voice stripped of its usual composure. External command signals to conclave-aligned warships have ceased. All vessels report autonomous lockdown. Krthek roared. Restore control. Unable, the AI replied. Override protocols require human-authored encryption keys. Silence fell like a dropped blade. Mara's face remained on the central projection, unaffected by the chaos. We didn't destroy your fleets, she said. We quarantined them. No explosions. No casualties. Your crews are alive. Confused. Probably angry. She met Viral's gaze directly. You predicted our defeat in hours, she continued. You were wrong. Viral's voice was low. Careful now. And what do you predict, human? Mara exhaled slowly. You don't get to fight us, she said. You get to decide whether you want to exist in a universe where humans remember this moment. She stood. We ended the war in minutes, she concluded. The next move is yours. The transmission cut. In the chamber built for endings, no one spoke. Because for the first time in recorded galactic history, the Conclave understood something far more terrifying than defeat. They had underestimated a species that treated survival as a design problem, and had already solved it. Silence was never part of the Conclave's strategic doctrine. They trained for chaos, alarm storms, cascading failures, hostile environments, but not for the abrupt absence of authority. When the tactical lattice collapsed, the chamber filled with a different kind of panic, quiet, brittle, and exposed. Delegates stared at unresponsive displays, at status fields that refused to obey. Power without command was a humiliation no species had rehearsed. High Strategos Viral remained standing. His kind had survived 3 extinction cycles by mastering one discipline above all others: adaptation without pride. He lifted a claw, signaling restraint. Seal the chamber, he ordered. No external transmissions. No internal panic. The command executed. Slowly. Reluctantly. Viral turned toward the human seat, still empty, still symbolic. He had dismissed its absence as insignificance. Now it felt deliberate, like a missing piece in a trap already sprung. They planned this, murmured Counselor Threx, his frill twitching. Not a counterattack. A takeover. A demonstration, Viral corrected. They could have annihilated our fleets. They chose paralysis. Across the stars, aboard the Human Command Habitat Atlas Station, Dr. Mara Ellison watched the feed from the Conclave cut to black. The room around her was anything but ceremonial. Exposed conduit lined the walls. Coffee cups crowded the consoles. Engineers stood shoulder to shoulder, eyes red from sleepless focus. No cheers erupted. This was not victory. Status? Mara asked. Phase lock complete, replied Jean Rao, cybersecurity lead, voice hoarse. All Conclave warships isolated. No cross-communication. We're ghosting their command layer without touching life support. Good, Mara said. Keep it clean. A younger analyst hesitated. Ma'am, if they find a way around the lock. They won't, Mara replied. Not with arrogance. With math. Their systems trust hierarchy. Ours distrust everything. She leaned back, finally allowing herself to breathe. The room carried the weight of something unfinished. Back in the conclave chamber, emergency deliberation commenced. Delegates spoke in careful tones now, measuring each word as if humans were already listening. They used our own structure against us, Threx said. How long until they can issue commands to our fleets? Viral considered. They already can. They are choosing not to. Admiral Krth's mandibles flared. Then we strike blindly. Autonomous assault. No coordination required. And lose every ship? Viral countered. Their control is selective. Precise. We move, they respond. We escalate, they end us. Krth slammed his armored fist down. You would kneel? I would survive. Viral replied coldly. A chime echoed. Internal channel request. From a human source. Viral did not hesitate this time. Open it. Mara appeared again, same plain setting, same composed expression. Only now, her eyes showed fatigue threading through resolve. You're deliberating escalation, she said. Don't. Threx bristled. You presume much. I'm listening to your fleet chatter, Mara replied. Your crews are confused, not hostile. Keep it that way. Viral inclined his head slightly. State your terms, human. Mara shook her head. Not terms. Corrections. She gestured, and a new projection appeared. Records of first contact incidents, minor skirmishes, trade violations, erased colonies labeled acceptable losses. You classify emerging species by risk curves, she said. You intervene when the curve rises. Humanity wasn't rising. We were spiking. Krth snarled. Your species weaponizes unpredictability. Yes, Mara agreed. Because predictability gets you conquered. Her gaze locked onto Viral. You don't need to destroy us to feel safe. You need us contained. Understood. But containment through fear only breeds escalation. Viral folded his limbs behind his back. And your alternative? Transparency, Mara said. Mutual exposure. Shared vulnerabilities. A ripple of unease moved through the chamber. You want access, Threx said. To our systems. And you already have access to ours, Mara replied. You've been watching us for decades. Listening. Cataloging. She leaned closer to the camera. We're not asking for parity. We're forcing it. Silence stretched. Viral spoke carefully. If we agree, what prevents you from turning this control into dominion? Mara's answer came without pause. Because we didn't build this to rule. We built it to stop things. She glanced off-screen, then back. Every safeguard we installed can be undone, she continued. By us. Or by you. Together. A dangerous proposal. Krth laughed harshly. You expect trust after hijacking an armada? Mara's expression hardened. No. I expect memory. You will remember that when you came for us, we didn't burn your worlds. We didn't kill your people. We turned off the lights and waited for you to think. Viral felt something unfamiliar settle into his core cognition. Respect. You ended the war before it began, he said. But wars echo. Mara nodded. Which is why this can't end as a victory. She straightened. It has to end as a rule change. The chamber absorbed that. Outside, conclave fleets drifted in enforced stillness, untouched, intact, alive. Inside Atlas Station, Engineers monitored lines that could unmake empires with a keystroke and chose restraint instead. Viral raised his voice, addressing the full assembly. "The conclave acknowledges human capability," he declared. "We suspend all hostile actions. We enter negotiation under equal standing." Mara closed her eyes for half a second, then opened them. "That," she said quietly, "is the first smart decision you've made today." The channel closed. Across light years, two civilizations stood on opposite sides of the same realization. Power was no longer measured by who could destroy faster. It was measured by who chose not to. The war officially lasted 9 minutes and 42 seconds. That was the number the conclave recorded, though no one agreed on when it truly began. Some marked the first hostile fleet translation into Seoul. Others traced it to the projection chamber, to the moment a human spoke without permission. History, like power, preferred clean edges even when reality refused them. For Dr. Mara Ellison, the war ended when the final command lock disengaged. "Confirm release," she said, voice steady despite the tremor running through her hands. Jean Rao watched the scrolling verification cascade. "Conclave fleet autonomy restored. No latent triggers. We're clear." Mara nodded. "Archive everything. Then burn the access keys." A technician hesitated. "All of them?" "Yes," she said. "Including ours." Keys vanished. Control dissolved. What remained was consequence. Across the conclave chamber, systems awakened in fragments. Displays returned without hostility flags. Command hierarchies reformed, intact, unaltered, unmistakably their own. It was like waking after anesthesia and discovering your organs untouched, your weapons unloaded, your assumptions dismantled. High Strategos Viral studied the diagnostics in silence. "They gave it back," Threx whispered. "All of it. They never wanted it," Viral replied. "They wanted us to understand we could lose it." A final channel request chimed. Viral accepted. Mara appeared for the last time, no longer seated. She stood, jacket on, as if ready to leave a room that spanned galaxies. "This is the end of our intervention," she said. "Your fleets are yours again. Our systems are sealed. There's no back door." Krarthek leaned forward. "You expect gratitude?" "No," Mara answered. "I expect adjustment." She paused, choosing her next words with care. "You predicted our defeat because you evaluated us like a finished equation. You assumed intelligence plateaus. That doctrine stabilizes. That fear is universal." Her gaze sharpened. "It isn't." Viral inclined his head. "You turn vulnerability into leverage without bloodshed. That is rare. Necessity breeds creativity," Mara replied. "Extinction breeds honesty." A murmur moved through the chamber. Threx spoke. "What do humans want now?" Mara didn't answer immediately. "When we first looked out into space," she said, "we didn't ask who we could conquer. We asked who might already be out there, and whether they'd let us live." She met their eyes, one by one. "We want what everyone wants. Room to grow. The chance to make mistakes without annihilation. And a voice in decisions that affect our survival." Viral considered that. "You have it. Then we're done here," Mara said. She turned away from the camera. "Dr. Ellison," Viral called. She stopped. "You ended a war in minutes," he said. "The conclave has never seen its like." Mara looked back, expression softer now, edged with something like sadness. "We didn't end a war," she said. "We prevented a massacre. Don't confuse efficiency with mercy." The channel closed. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy struggled to recalibrate. Conclave analysts dismantled centuries of doctrine built on inevitability. Risk models were rewritten. Emerging species classifications gained a new variable, human factor, defined not by aggression, but by adaptive escalation beyond forecast. Humanity, for its part, did not celebrate. There were no parades on Earth. No victory broadcasts. The public learned only fragments, averted conflict, Unknown allies, silent skies. Most went back to work. To family. To arguing online about things that suddenly felt small. Mara returned to her old office. Same desk. Same chipped mug. The galaxy felt no closer than it had before, only heavier. A message waited on her terminal. From the conclave. Observer status granted. Permanent seat allocated. She stared at it for a long time. Jean leaned against the doorframe. You going to accept? Mara shrugged. Someone has to make sure they remember. Remember what? She smiled faintly. That we don't win by being the strongest. We survive by being the hardest to finish. He nodded, understanding more than the words carried. Far from Earth, conclave fleets resumed patrol, war simulations adjusted to include impossible outcomes. Species once dismissed now received attention. Dialogue replaced preemptive strike in several sectors, not out of kindness but caution. The universe had learned something inconvenient. That humans did not dominate through numbers or firepower. They dominated through refusal. Refusal to collapse when expected. Refusal to fight on someone else's terms. Refusal to become the monsters others prepared for. Years later, cadets at the Conclave Academy would study the incident as an anomaly. Instructors would struggle to define it. It did not fit traditional conflict models. There was no decisive battle. No surrender document. No conquered worlds. Only a quiet moment when an ancient council realized the future could no longer be controlled through prediction alone. Because somewhere in that future was a species that treated survival as a system, and had learned how to rewrite it in minutes. And that understanding, once seated among the stars, could never be undone.